Professional jockey Mike Smith has reached the pinnacle accomplishments a jockey could strive for. He is a Hall of Fame jockey, winning races such as the coveted Triple Crown, Irish Guineas, Queen's Plate, and Dubai World Cup. And he has been part of some of the most controversial moments in horse racing history, also riding for trainer Bob Baffert. But speaking with Mike, you would never know that such a humble person is still not done. He wants to do it all over again. So big money, Mike, let's get to business. Hey everybody, I am Tatiana Ryan, and we finally have with me Mike Smith, the epic person who has ridden so many of the most memorable horses out there. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing well, doing real good. Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. You got your dog in from outside where it's nice and sunny in California.
Yeah, she was out getting some sun, so she's back in now.
What kind of dog is she?
She's a blue nose pit.
She's
Pitbull.
absolutely adorable.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
So you're an animal lover. Tell everybody how you came to say, all right, this is it. I want to ride all these crazy horses for a living.
I was growing up. I grew up in New Mexico on a ranch, little town outside of Roswell called Dexter, and my grandparents had he had a couple of quarter horses that he would race, and had my uncle trained horses. When he got them ready to go, we kind of had a farm where you get them ready to go out to the racetrack. So he was breaking a lot of babies, and I actually wanted to play football in school and just never never grew big enough to actually do it. And was always around horses and had the opportunity to get on them all the time. I've been riding since I could remember, and one thing led to another. Next thing you know, I'm getting on a lot of horses, helping him break babies, and galloping a lot of horses for making a living doing it, and riding match races. And by the time I turned 16, it was time to head off and turn professional.
So it just kind of like gradually came into progressing into professionalism.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, my father rode a little bit too as well, which before I was born, he got too heavy too quick, but he rode as well. So it's always been in my blood, and I've always been around racehorses on both sides of the family. So it was just it just kind of came natural to me.
Now, the difference between the quarter horses and the thoroughbreds, because a lot of people bounce from the quarter horses into the thoroughbreds. Like, do you ever want to go back to the quarter horses?
I've always kind of wanted to go back and win a big one. I'd like to have been the only jock to have won the All-American in the Kentucky Derby. That'd been pretty cool, But that ship might have sailed by now. I haven't been on a quarter horse in many years, and not too sure I could even stay on one leaving there, to be honest with you. But yeah, a lot of people transition over, especially if your weight stays light enough as a rider. If you can keep your weight under control, it's kind of a natural thing where you wind up just riding thoroughbreds instead of quarter horses.
Now, they're obviously a lot faster, a lot longer of a distance you guys go with the thoroughbreds. And you have ridden some of the most epic horses out there. Which was your favorite to ride?
Well, she's probably behind me right there on the wall. That's Zenyatta. She was probably the most entertaining horse to watch run. The whole show, she put on the show from the time she'd walk into the paddock, the post parade, and then of course her style of running, where she always came from dead last and just seemed to know where the wire was and always time it just right and just get up. And I mean, she won by where I say, a head or a neck, a lot of times was probably the easiest head or neck that she could have probably won by 10, but she liked to just kind of play games. And so she always made it very interesting. She went 19 for 20. She almost went 20 for 20. She was only beaten that far the last time she ran in the Breeders' Cup Classic at Churchill, where Blaine beat her. She got pretty far back and just couldn't make up the ground. But she was just an incredible horse, and she'll probably always go down as my all-time favorite.
She's obviously one of the most memorable fillies out there. But you got to ride another filly, and this is how I actually got to see you in action. Was at Delaware Park on Songbird. You rode
No,
Songbird in that epic race where it was literally by a nostril between Beholder and Songbird. Was there any exchanges between you and Gary Stevens at that line?
yeah. I mean, he kind of fist pumped and celebrated. See, he thought he had won, and I kind of thought I did. I thought, well, I think he might be celebrating just a little too soon there. But of course, the number had come up by the time we had jogged back, and it was one of those races that if you didn't feel like you lost, even though you didn't finish first. It was just a race. It was an epic race. It'll go down as probably the best battle in Breeders' Cup history, as far as two horses hook up from the quarter pole to the wire like they both did, and then me and Gary to be as close as we are. We're more like brothers than we are competitors. We're very, very close, like family actually. And so if I was going to get beat, I was certainly glad it was my big brother that beat me.
Jockeys do get really close. We've had a couple jockeys on. Well, we've had Tyler Conlon.
Yeah.
We've had him on before,
yeah.
and
Great guy.
Yeah, he's amazing. It was really cool to come on and tell us about the whole jockey atmosphere and how you guys do get so close and become like brothers, because you're traveling all together, you're racing together, you're all day together. Like, how does that bond like stick with you that you never even, when you're not racing, you're still there?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the locker room atmosphere too. I think in any sport, I think that's the hardest to let go of when it's time to call a career. Is your friendships that you've had with all the players you play with and all the riders you ride against. You're like family in there. You spend a lot of time together, and at times, our lives are in each other's hands at times. So you learn to get pretty close, and it can get a little heated in there as well. It's a little bit of everything. But at the end of the day, we're just all glad we walked away safe and sound, and we all live to fight again the next day.
And we saw you not long ago do a whole video with America's Best Racing with dressage rider Anna Buffini on how you prep for races and your workout regimen. Like, how important is it for you to have such a strict regimen?
Well, especially look, one thing I did right in my life early on was take up physical fitness at a very early age in my early time in my career. Where now I'm in my 50s, and I still have the same workout regimen that I did when I was in my 30s, and I can still finish it pretty easy. So I've kept myself in great shape, and I think it's really paying off in the later years of my career. And if you want to have a long career and you can stay healthy as far as injuries go, if you start now, man, if you start when you're in your 20s, believe me, by the time you're 50, it's actually the easy part is riding. The hard part for me is my training regimen that I have. I work out pretty hard, and especially the amount of, I don't ride a lot of races anymore. I kind of pick and choose and don't ride as much, so I have to stay really fit and extra fit. So, and I want to be on top of my game whenever I do get that chance, to ride that good horse in a big race. So I work out all the time, and it's just something that I've made a way of life, and I do it 5 days a week, and it's kept me going so far. Being able to stay and compete at this level at such a later time in my career, I contributed all to working out and the workout regimen that I have.
Let's go to the Breeders' Cup, because this one was a very eye-opening, very public Breeders' Cup where they changed a lot of rules. They also, the week before, you already hit a bump with Go Rocket Ride having a problem there. And it was very visualized and public as to how it was all handled also. And unfortunately, the horse was put down. But, being so physically fit yourself and having to watch that physical fitness of the horses. And then Tamra, you're very, very in tune with these horses when you ride them.
Yeah, I mean, I adore horses. I mean, everything I have in my life is because of a horse, and the relationships in my life really are all everything is because of a racehorse, I care for them more than I actually care for myself, to be honest with you. But yeah, we're going into the Breeders' Cup with a lot of high hopes with Go Rocket Ride and Tamra, and for him to get hurt and then to have to be put down on top of it was just gut wrenching. It just let the wind out of our sails, and it was pretty much over after that happened, which was very unfortunate. But in this sport and all sports, you have injuries, and sometimes they're severe. The owners did a wonderful job of trying to save him, and went all out trying to do so. It cost them a fortune probably trying to save him, and they did all they could do. It just wasn't meant to be. And then Tamara wound up coming out of the Breeders' Cup juvenile with a broken splint bone, which she'll be okay. It's just going to take some time for her to get back, but they'll give her a good 4 or 5 months off, and then we'll start back with her. And she still, she has a lot of, still have a lot of high hopes for her. She's an extremely talented filly. It was just too bad that had to happen at that time. Anyway, it's just the way the sports go sometimes, and sometimes sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug.
Now, being a jockey with all these new HISA rules and having, the horses pretty much literally looked up and down, back and forth, they're kept in bubble wrap pretty much until they get on that track where you guys take them. What do you think of all of these new HISA rules that are coming about?
Yeah, no, they're great for the sport. I mean, you have horses looked over, like you said, before it even gets the opportunity to breathe. I mean, you'll have anywhere from 3 to 4 vets at all times with their eyes on these horses now. And I mean, I feel as safe as ever, if not more now. To be honest with you out there, I mean, it's my life that's on the line along with a horse when we're out there, and so you certainly got to trust the people that you're around and you're riding for, and I truly do. I feel safer now than I've honestly ever have. All the stricter the rules, I know it might be a pain and every now and then, but it is what it is, and as long as we can keep these horses happy, healthier, and safer, man, we're gonna be happy, healthier, and safer as well because we're on their back.
Now, you got your nickname, Big Money Mike, from Bob Baffert, one of the most controversial characters right now, and you ride for him all the time. There's been some problems lately. There's an actual defamation case that is out there now from some of the bettors and everything. Being put in that spotlight and being connected to that, I mean, is there some sort of blinders you put on yourself?
Well, I know the man as well as anybody, especially a whole lot better than the people who are who are saying these things or have a lawsuit against him, that ever known him. And when you know Bob, I mean, he cares for his horses. He's a good man. He gets why he gets this bad rap. I'm really, because he wins quite a bit, and and everybody, some people just don't agree with that. But I watch, but the way I see and I watch and at firsthand the way he cares and takes care of his horses, and what kind of shape they're in going into a race. I mean, people act like he just has these horses that he got out of someone's backyard. He's winning the Kentucky Derby with them. I mean, these are high priced, very, very expensive, talented horses, and he takes the utmost care for them. I feel as safe, if not, safer riding for Bob. I've ridden for him for many, many years, and I would state my career and my life, because I ride for him all the time on him. And behind the scenes, if you see how he is with his crew and his help and everyone involved, just a really, really good man. It's too bad that this has to be going on right now for him.
Well, I've seen him at sales, so I'm totally on your side with that. I completely understand, and I don't understand why some of these other people are doing what they're doing, but they are. Anyway, We have an influx of new jockeys coming in from Europe. We just added Frankie Dettori is supposed to be riding in California. This when we don't know because he was just on a reality show out in the jungle somewhere.
You got to get him out of the jungle first to get him back.
Yeah, exactly. Are we ever going to see Mike Smith doing a reality show?
Well, I did jockeys, I guess, with some sort of reality show, somewhat. A few years back, it was on Animal Planet that we did. I've been approached about going on Dancing with the Stars, but I'm not much of a dancer.
Oh, come on.
But I would never say never. If the right opportunity came up, the right show, I think I'd give it a shot. I think Frankie did a great job on this show. I got the chance to watch a little bit of it and just found it very fascinating. I thought he did really, really well.
He represented the jockeys very, very well and explaining a little bit as to what you guys go through.
He did, and he does, and he always said, he's fun to be around, Frankie. He's a fun guy, wonderful person, just a brilliant rider, and it's always great to have great riders to ride with and against. It makes you raise your game to another level as well, which I love. I love great competition.
Now, your career spans since the early 90s. You've racked up Breeders' Cup wins, Triple Crown win was justified, Irish Guineas, Queen's Plate, Dubai World Cup. You're in the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. Like, what do you want to do next?
I want to do it all over again. When you had a good meal, you always want seconds, or you want to go back and have it again, and that's kind of what it is. Once you've been blessed to have won any of those races or any race of that magnitude, it's a feeling like no other, and the only other way you're going to feel it is to do it again. And sometimes even feels better the second time, believe it or not. So yeah, just a few things I'd like to do again. I've always I love to get one more Derby if it's possible. I certainly want to go for it. I got another year or two left in my career that I believe that I'm still competing at that level. I feel like I'm still there when I ride. At least I feel that way. If it starts to show that I don't, well, then it's time to hang it up. But right now, I feel amazing. I feel as good now. I can honestly say that I feel as good now as I do as back when I turned 40. I mean, so I see no reason why to hang it up. People ask me, when are you going to retire? I feel like I am. This is retirement, man. This is wonderful. Who gets to do stuff like I get to do? You get to get on the back of an amazing animal, beautiful horse, and compete and travel and win these kind of races and sit here in my living room and just wait for it to happen again and again and again. I mean, why would I stop?
So let's talk about the Triple Crown with Justify. You did that, but then just recently, just last week, they had one of the races, the Santa Anita Derby, was canceled as a win.
Yeah, I'm not sure what will go on there. It's not over yet. That whole thing. It's kind of silly. It was a thing that it was in alfalfa. Several horses that got that batch of alfalfa on the backside had that. It's not a performer enhancing thing at all whatsoever, and it's just silly. The whole thing is just absolutely silly, but it is what it is, and it's not over yet, and we'll just see what happens on that part. But yeah, getting the opportunity to ride Justify and winning the Triple Crown is the holy grail. It's life, truly life changing. My career could have ended that day. That could have been the last time I rode, and I would have really honestly felt like I had truly done it all because of that horse and because of winning the Triple Crown. It just means that much. But again, it's a feeling like no other, man. You want to do it one more time. Again, it's very difficult to do, but there's always a chance, isn't there? I mean, it's a tough game, and as long as you're in it and you're competing, there's a chance that who knows, that next star could be right around the corner, and next thing you know, and you get the Derby first, and then after that, see what happens. But I'd like to really go one really good, if not this year, coming up, maybe next year as well. Just see if I get a chance to ride in the Derby again and take another shot at it.
What advice do you give the new jockeys coming up? Because there's a lot of them, male and female now.
Oh, just surround yourself around the right people. Watch, learn, ask questions. Just study. Never stop learning. And there's a saying that I've always really admired and liked. And it was, comes from Claiborne Farm, Bull Hancock, where they said at Claiborne, we do the usual unusually well. And really that's what it is, just doing the basic things really good and better than the next person. And if you do things like that, you'll get great results.
Mike, I thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy day with your dog to sit down and talk to us. My name is Tatiana Ryan. This is Mike Smith, the professional jockey, the epic master of horses. Thank you so much, Mike.
Well, thank you so much. Sorry, my dog made some noise there for a little bit, but she just wanted to be heard.
That's quite all right.